Is childcare a constitutional issue? You might be surprised. Hi, I'm Sue Jeffers here for Libertarian Viewpoint. Libertarianism is all about liberty, the exercise of freedom that doesn't impinge on the rights of others. We constantly hear the drum roll of government solutions. This show's purpose is to allow you to see for yourself why non-government solutions are a better alternative. Today we have two guests with us. And I'd like to welcome Holley Saville and Tom Revnew, no relation to the IRS, to the program. This is a fabulous story that we're going to share with the viewers today. It's something that's been going on for much longer than anybody realizes. But Governor Dayton and his union buddies are trying to unionize daycare workers in the state of Minnesota. And Holley, I want to start with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I want you to tell what happened. How did this get started, and how did you get involved in it?
Well, about 6 years ago is when the unions first started coming to our homes in Minnesota, and they've done it in 15 other states. It's now down to 13, and they came knocking on our doors most of the time during lunch or nap time when we're busy with kids all day, and pushing us to sign these union authorization cards. And
what's a union authorization card? What does that mean?
It's a card that, unbeknownst to most providers, is a card that's a yes vote for unionization. It says, I want SEIU or AFSCME, depending on the area in which you live, to be my exclusive representative with the Department of Human Services and to be your voice. And a lot of these people who sign the cards, some of the language in the card is kind of tricky to understand, but a lot of them were told it was for more information, for information about health insurance, for its petition to support other providers. And when an organization's saying, we're with kids first, and don't represent themselves as being from SEIU or don't say we're with the union. Kids First sounds like a wonderful organization, something I want to join. Kids
What a
Come
nice
First
name. What a nice name. Kids Come First. Yeah.
Or Childcare Providers Together, which is the name for AFSCME's organization. And so these providers sign these cards, and they started in 2005, and it's 2005, 2006, 2008, end of 2010 and into 2011 now, and we've been working against this. I've been working on it for the past 3 years, educating providers, but it's been in the past, this whole 2011, that providers have really come together and realizing that they're still going to keep pushing this. And so we've been working against this since then, educating providers, getting the facts to them about what's gone on in other states and why Minnesotans do not want childcare to be unionized.
So you have these daycare providers who are basically small business owners like you, moms and dads who decide they want to, out of their own home, run a daycare business. And Governor Dayton has formed a task force on this. He finally came out this past fall and said, you know what, we're going to have a vote to allow the daycare workers to vote if they're going to unionize themselves. But we're going to only allow part of them to vote. What's up with that?
Well, first of all, he was going to sign an executive order unilaterally forcing us all to unionize until providers succeeded in getting the media and our legislators to come out and say, hey, wait, you can't do that. And that's when he kind of saved face and said, okay, I'm going to give everyone the vote because it's the democratic and American way. It's fair. And there's nothing fair or democratic about this. Giving a vote to 4,300 out of 11,300 providers is neither one of those.
Wait a minute, what? 4,300 out of 11,000 providers?
Yes, it's about 40%. And
how does that work out?
Well, those providers are from the time period of October 2010 to October 2011, those providers received a CCAP payment. CCAP is the Child Care Assistance Program. So these families come to the provider and say, I have assistance, this is how you'll receive your payment. those providers would be the ones allowed to vote. What it doesn't, the executive order doesn't point to the fact that providers come in and out of that program, or families come in and out of that program all the time. I know providers who had kids after October 15th, 2011, who wouldn't have been allowed to vote. And so it's giving a voice to a minority and allowing them to decide for the majority. And that vote was only going to be, all the people who voted would be counted towards the majority, not the entire 4,300 group, so it's a minority of the minority deciding for the majority.
It's a stacked deck.
Oh, it's just awful.
It's kind of like, think about this. If you had an election in the state of Minnesota, it's kind of like only allowing the Democrats to vote or only allowing the Republicans to vote.
Yes.
That's just crazy. The unions made a promise. They went to the daycare providers and they said, we're going to get you health care. We're going to get you more money. What were some of the other promises that they made to the providers?
Health care benefits obviously is one of them, and more access to trainings, CPR and first aid, and better regulations with licensing, a better relationship with licensing, and pensions, and in some states, I don't know about other providers here, but workman's comp and pension, and so things that haven't come to fruition in other states, quite honestly. Health insurance has occurred in only 3 of those 15 unionized states. And in Washington, you have to have 4 kids on subsidy. All 3 of those states, Washington, Illinois, and New York, you have to be income eligible. So, and the coverage is only for the provider, not for the provider's spouse and not for their children. Well, for me personally, if I was going to get coverage, I want it to be for my kids. And so providers, a lot of these providers who are in support of it think that they're going to get health insurance. And we're just trying to tell them that's not what's going to happen. It sounds great, but that's not what's happened. No pension in any of the other states, no workman's comp. Access to training, we already have tons of access to training. I'm a trainer. I also organize the trainings for our Wright County Family Child Care Association. We have free trainings each month. A lot of the other child care associations also offer free trainings to their members for the bargain price of $35 per year. So those trainings are $18 each 2-hour training, and we're only required to do 8 hours. There's first aid and CPR trainings several times each month throughout Minnesota in your area, not just in your county. And so I don't know who's not getting access to trainings, because I know I train all over Minnesota, and it's not, we don't need a union to do that for us. And it's really sad that providers think that they don't have access to these things. We already have these awesome organizations representing us, lobbying for us at the Capitol. Individual providers and like MLFCCA, the Minnesota Licensed Family Child Care Association, they have made great changes to licensing regulations, all without a union. All membership is voluntary with these organizations, and the benefits have affected all of us. And that's the problem with the unionization, is any changes they make to licensing regulations affect all of us. If they want to reduce the number of kids we're allowed, which they've told several providers in public forums that they want to do, how would that increase the quality of care? It would force providers to make less money. It would make them get rid of children who need quality child care, and where are those kids going to go? So there's so many detriments to childcare unionization, and I'm not anti-union, and I resent the fact that those who are in favor of childcare unionization have painted providers as such just because they're speaking out and telling the truth.